Hey, today I'm talking about 3 films about journalism. And the names of those 3 movies are Almost Famous, Sweet Smell of Success, and The Parallax View. First up is Almost Famous. This is a 2000 film starring a ton of actors you know and love. Like, even in really tiny roles, there are actors that you know. The basic premise is this young boy really loves music. He's very passionate about it. He wants to be a person who gets to write about music, and he's actually very good at it and ridiculously smart. And he ends up getting to go on tour with a band. And yeah, no, this movie's really freaking good. I loved like every second of this. First of all, the cast. The cast is just insane. Frances McDormand, Jason Lee, Billy Crudup. Jeez, I could go on and on about like just everyone that's in here. Zooey Deschanel, come on. And they all did so good. The music's incredible. This is definitely like a nostalgia film, and I tend to be a little more harsh on nostalgia films because it's not my favorite type of movie. But I honestly didn't mind because I feel like they really truly captured the spirit and essence of what it was to be there at that time. Especially just like the sound for sure. A scene that really stood out was there's a live concert, and just like it sounds like an actual concert, just like all of the little imperfections that happen, and the reverb, so much about it's great. The story's so much fun. I have seen little bits and pieces of it, and I remembered a few of them, like a couple like plot points. So like I did have a decent idea of where the story was going, but that being said, that didn't take away from the movie because just like it was such a good vibe. Like I was just here for the journey, man, and it worked for me so incredibly well. It's just an incredibly well-made film with an awesome cast and a great story, great music. It's just a fantastic movie that works for me so well. There are a couple of tiny little things that don't stand up to the test of time, but I can look past them because everything else in the film is just so great. So yeah, I loved this film and would wholeheartedly recommend it. You want just good vibes as a film? This is good vibes as a film, man. Yeah. Definitely give it a watch. Next up is Sweet Smell of Success. This is a 1957 film starring Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis, and it's great. The basic premise is Tony plays this press agent, and so his whole job is to get his clients into newspapers, and he does that by persuading columnists, one of whom might be pretty dang corrupt. It's so technically just kind of amazing. Like in particular, I have to praise this movie's cinematography because holy shit, this movie's cinematography is something else. Like the way they framed stuff. There's shots with like, I don't know, 5 or 6 people in it, and like everyone is like perfectly lined up and positioned in a way that makes it feel like artwork. It's insane. Like there's this one where it looks like Tony's character is sitting on a person's shoulder, and it's like, ooh, he's the devil on their shoulder. That's awesome. Oh my god. And just, yeah, no, there's so many little technical things like that that are just amazing. Kudos to this movie because there's so many things like that and they're so good. I legit just kept getting blown away by it. Everyone gives great performances too, without a doubt. Burt Lancaster just really chews up the scenery and it's great. He's so imposing. There were so many times with like the size of characters next to each other in the frame. Like Burt Lancaster is a tall guy, but sometimes he would intentionally position himself so that he looks smaller than someone else because it's a form of like, oh, I'm giving up this power. Look, you have this power over me. And then he would take it like 2 steps forward and he'd be like superimposing over them. He'd be like, ha, you thought you had power over me? What? And it's just like so well done. So well done. My only criticism of this film is that there were just a few times that I just kind of didn't understand the dialogue. Not like it was hard to hear. It was just like 50s lingo that I just didn't get, or like phrasing that I didn't pick up on or understand. I definitely got like the vibe of scenes, but I'm like, I still want specifics of what's going on. But yeah, no, Tony did such a great great job of leading this film. He feels so slimy and he's a terrible person, but you still root for him and you're like, you want to see what's gonna happen, but you're also like, you're a terrible asshole, stop it. But he can't stop it because that's just who he is. And I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I would totally recommend it. Just, be prepared for maybe not always understanding something. Though that could have been more of a me thing, I really don't know. I think even with it, it's still definitely worth a watch, for sure. And lastly is The Parallax View. This is a 1974 film starring Warren Beatty, and the basic premise is it is a action thriller about this journalist who is trying to investigate a bunch of deaths that all appear to be natural causes, but they all have this connecting incident, and so it's a little fishy that all of these people are dying. And it's pretty good. I definitely enjoyed it. I do think the mystery was interesting, though I do think the answer is kind of a bit grand in scope, though I do understand what they were going for. I also do feel like it was a little too reliant on the action. Like, the action wasn't bad or anything, but I just feel like the story more necessitated suspense thriller that doesn't like push over into an action film. But this definitely is an action film at times. There's a car that goes off a ramp at one point. And again, that wasn't bad, I just feel like that wasn't the correct choice for this movie. I do think the story was definitely interesting, and I think they left it kind of open for interpretation, especially in regards to like the answers to whodunits, because they do give us, technically they give us two answers, and even though it's kind of meant to seem like one is definitely more likely, I think there's honestly evidence that supports the one that you're not supposed to think is it, and I think that's a really interesting idea just to kind of ponder and think about. I'm not the hugest Warren Beatty fan, he feels a bit pretentious to me, but I do think he did a good job here, and I do think the film overall is a good, worthwhile film and totally worth a watch. So I would again recommend this movie, but not as highly as the other two. It's definitely a good film, but I feel like it has a few more flaws than the other ones. I didn't personally connect to it as much as the other two, but it's still not a bad time and worth a watch for sure. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Almost Famous sitting at number 1 in the really like section. I just connected to it so much and had so much fun while watching it. Like, at one point my internet went out and the movie stopped, and like I could feel my enjoyment just like sinking back down to normal life, and I was like, no, movie needs to come back on now. So yeah, no, really love the film. Definitely would recommend. And then after that is Sweet Smell of Success in number 4. Also in the really liked. And then bringing up the rear is The Parallax View, sitting at number 15 in the quite like section. And this is out of a total of 24 old movies so far this year.